My oh my, we have the ultimate self-owns, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Ultra-leftist Democrat lawmakers who voted to defund the police have found themselves victims of carjackings in cities across the nation. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest humiliating examples of left-wing self-owns. We're going to see how they're all part of the horrific crime wave that plagues Democrat-controlled cities, and stick with me to the very end of this video when we'll find how more and more cities are openly admitting the absolute failure of the whole defund the police nonsense. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Stevie with you. Great to be with you. As always, I'm your daily fake news antidote. As each and every day, I provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you've already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe. And before we begin, gang, we are almost there. Christmas is upon us, and you gotta get one of our amazing t-shirts for the patriots in your life. We got the best designs in the world. We got our Let's Go branded t-shirts. We got everything woke turns to you know what t-shirts. Your family and friends are gonna love them. So make sure to click on that link below and get your Patriot merch today. You just got literally hours left to get one of these designs that are the perfect Christmas gift for the patriots in your life. So don't wait. Click on that link in the description below to both support this channel and spread patriot hope. And let's make this the most patriotic Christmas ever, gang. Love it. All right, let's dive right in here. Oh my, oh my. If this is not a case of self-owning, I simply don't know what is. A Democrat representative from Pennsylvania, who previously was a major supporter of the so-called police reform movement, or better known as Defund the Police, was carjacked at gunpoint in Philadelphia just the other day. Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, who represents Pennsylvania's 5th congressional district, which includes part of South Philly, was walking to her car in broad daylight when 2 black males approached her, held a gun to her, and demanded her keys. They made off with her 2017 Acura as well as her phone and purse. Now, the irony in all this is that, surprise, surprise, Scanlon has been a longtime proponent of social justice gimmicks like Defund the Police. And Fox News is reporting that she even sponsored a bill called the Mental Health Justice Act, which aimed, I kid you not, the bill aimed to replace police officers with mental health professionals to respond to certain 911 calls. And again, you can't make this stuff up. Democrats, at least to a point, want to replace the police with mental health workers. And so many are noting that this carjacking is the ultimate self-own, and she's not alone. Illinois Democratic State Senate Majority Leader Kimberly Lightford and her husband were carjacked in Broadview, just outside of downtown Chicago this week, where crime has been going through the roof, by the way. Needless to say that she too had previously proposed defunding the police in their 2020 budget to the tune of $80 million. And what happened this week with these newly owned libbies has many recalling what happened back in May of this year when the radical Atlanta City Councilman Antonio Brown was carjacked in broad daylight. This councilman, Antonio Brown, had previously voted to withhold $73 million from the Atlanta Police Department. And you're going to love this. After he got carjacked, he had the gall to complain that when he called 911, he had to wait over 5 minutes before he even got a dispatcher on the phone. And then to pour salt on the wound, it took 45 minutes before police arrived at the scene. He complained about this guy, this ultra-leftist cultural Marxist who voted to strip the Atlanta Police Department of over $70 million, is besides himself when he's got to wait 5 minutes after dialing 911 and 45 minutes for the police to respond. Now, obviously, the stories of anti-law enforcement Democrats getting their due is a delicious case of what we might call ironic justice. These radical city councilmen, all of whom are BLM supporters, all radical supporters of defund the police, are getting what many would consider their just desserts. In other words, this is precisely what happens when you defund the police. And the whole world, for the exception of these radical cultural Marxists, the whole world knows it and they all see it. Cities all across the nation are experiencing an utter epidemic of violent crime. And so it's no coincidence that we're seeing headlines like this from Fox today. Dems who called for defunding police amid George Floyd protests now pivoting. And the byline reads, Police departments nationwide are now seeing their finances partially restored amid a spike in crime. Well, what do you know? Democrats recognizing the laws of cause and effect. The political party that's obsessed with all the so-called underlying causes of crime and social degeneracy in the inner cities suddenly realizes the obvious. Here's an actual cause and effect relationship that can be empirically demonstrated. More police, less crime. What do you know? Look at this headline from the Wall Street Journal. Cities reverse defunding the police amid rising crime. And the piece starts by saying it bluntly, quote, 1 year after the movement to defund law enforcement began to upend municipal budgets, many American cities are restoring money to their police departments or proposing to spend more. In New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio said he would reinstate $92 million for a new precinct after scrapping the project last summer. The mayor of Baltimore, who led efforts as a city councilman to cut the police budget by $22 million last year, recently proposed a $27 million increase. And we could go on and on. Even the ultra-leftist Marxists who run Minneapolis have reversed their defund the police nonsense. If you recall, the ultra-left Minneapolis City Council voted unanimously to disband the Minneapolis Police Department and replace it with some kind of nebulous community model that they never, ever explained how it would work or what even would look like. But it didn't matter. Crime skyrocketed throughout Minneapolis, and things were so bad in this Democrat-run monopoly. We've talked about this often on this channel. Things were so bad that you actually had the Minneapolis Police Department officially announce that the citizens of Minneapolis actually ought to expect to get mugged and robbed. Law and order is so broken down in Minneapolis that if you're living there, you should expect to be a crime victim. And so with egg all over their faces, the Minneapolis City Council, again, which unanimously originally voted to defund the police department, had to turn around and unanimously approve over $6 million in additional funding for the police after a massive backlash against the defund the police efforts. After month of rising crime rates, the very ultra-left Marxist City Council that initially voted to completely defund the police department did an about-face and voted to give the police $6 million more than the police department requested. Now, of course, this should have been front page headline news in every single newspaper outlet. It's a humiliating admission of political defeat, of the ridiculousness of the whole defund the police insanity. But of course, not a word, not a whimper. And that's because we know that our mainstream Marxist media actually promoted and defended this utter and complete nonsense. They are activists, they're not journalists. They practice activism, not journalism. And so it does appear that the defund the police movement is dead. It may not be dead in the Democrat Party, but it's certainly dead in the hearts and minds and political sentiments of the supermajority of the American voters. So all that's left to do now is to express that disdain for such a stupid and ridiculous idea at the ballot box. And then we may finally defund and abolish the real problem in our nation, and that is none other than the Democrat Party itself. Now, before we go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video on the nation of France shutting down mosques all across the country. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. You'll definitely not want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.